Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the introduction, what this does and what it looks like. So this is initially what it looks like. We're going to be utilizing what's known as the LCD screen for it. You can see on here that it has a bunch of numbers and then a bunch of ports that go with it versus signal, power, ground, VO, which is going to be the output or input that it's taking based off of the contrast. And then a handful of other signals that we're going to be manipulating along with power and ground that are just there for the crystals there. So if you've never seen a magic 8 ball, this is effectively what a magic 8 ball does in a digital sense. A magic 8 ball was a little ball that you'd have, and it had a little clear screen on the bottom, and you'd ask it a question, and on the inside there was a die, and when you'd hold it in the right spot, the die would float up and it would sit flat on the little clear plastic piece, and it would tell you the decision that was made. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at this first. So we see our Arduino Uno right here. This is effectively going into our breadboard, and then we have some tilt switches and stuff like that. That's going to simulate us tipping that magic 8 ball. So you can see right here. So the VS, we're going to see that it's grounded. I think it's a 10K resistor, or there is a resistor there. No, that's the 220 resistor. So that's going to come around and hit in, or that's our ground loop, sorry. So we can see that through here. So that's grounded coming through. We have our tilt switch with a 10K resistor. Okay, that's positives also feeding out to there. So that's signal out over here. And then we have ground coming around, and then signal in over here. Okay, so then we're looking at this. We have our positive LED and our negative LED hooked up. So the positive's coming around. It should be hooked up to the 5 volt. And it should be hooked up to the 5 volt up top, which that's where our tilt switch is hooked up to. So you can see that fed around. So this is a resistor coming off, and we can see that in here. It's a resistor, but it's a potentiometer is what they're titling. Okay, so that's the potentiometer right there with our signal coming out. The differences in between the ground versus power. That's going to adjust the contrast on the screen. Okay, so then we have our other ones coming out. So our RS is going to be reading into 12. Our RW is just grounded, and our E is going to be reading into 11. Our port 6, as we talked about, that's going to be the tilt switch. That's going to signal it that we rolled it. And then 5 is going to digital 4. 4 on the digital side from the Arduino board is going to digital 5 on the LCD. 3 to 6, 2 to 7. Okay, so that's our schematic that we're looking at, and this is effectively what it looks like once when we've made it. This is a little bit older version that they're using. You can see the older potentiometer and the older tilt switch that they're using for it. Okay, so this is with everything that's new. So when we start it up, we see it asks the question. So if we were to adjust this in this version right here, if we basically take it off the signal, it doesn't show the screen. If you were to actually make this, you'd see that we'd have some adjustment, and you'd see the little black areas right here turn a little more white versus black. Okay, and then we have our tilt switch right here. So we're going to ask the ball a question. I'm not going to say it out loud. Okay, but we're going to ask that ball a question, and we're going to tilt it. The ball says no. Okay. Okay, will it rain today? Most likely. It's not a good weather predictor. Okay, so that's the magic 8 ball in a little nutshell. Tomorrow, if we're in Zoom, this video will be going up Tuesday. We'll get into the build side of this. We're going to build this, and then Wednesday we're going to do the coding for it. Okay, hopefully you guys all have some usage with this, and we'll see you guys later. Okay, so today we're going to get into the build, what should be going on, and you guys will see is I'm actually going to shift this. This is going to go basically rotating of 180. I know some people who can drag it up and drop it there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to select both of these, and we're going to go to this button up here called rotate. And we're just going to rotate this 180. The reason why is when we actually attach our screen, the screen's going to read out upside down if we don't adjust that. Okay, so I'm going to get out the things that we need, which is the first thing. We're going to change this from basic to all, and we're going to go LED, and it's going to bring up a bunch of different LED rings and stuff like that. We should have a screen in there. They might have changed the name on it. Let's do this. Oh, not LED, LCD. You'll see the LCD 16:2. We can drag that out, and we can line it up kind of wherever we're wanting. Generally, because of how these boards are set up in real life, I try to set it up to where they are kind of covering a little bit on the board, so they have a little bit of assistance underneath. Okay, we need the potentiometer. Okay. We need the tilt switch. Okay. And we need a couple resistors. We need a 10 kilo ohm, and we need a 220 ohm. Okay. And that's all it's going to take to actually make this work. The wiring on it is going to be the most confusing thing for us. What we can actually do is we can actually move this up so we can see a little bit more clear. And we're going to actually lay out in these pins right here what we're needing. Okay. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to look at right here is this is going to go into our tilt switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that and I'm going to place it on this board. Okay, and this is going to go to the negative side of it. Okay, so we know then this side is going to have the positive side, and we can actually place that in right now. Okay, we're going to have a signal come out from this side. So I'm going to actually drag this. We can go this way. And this is going to end up into port 6 for us. Okay. And the next thing that we can do is we can apply the power. So positive goes to 5 volt. And that's red. Negative goes to ground. And I just like coloring that black. Okay. Once again, you can color these really anything you would like. Just the most common colors if you're ever doing real wiring. You'll see red for the supply, black for the return on it. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our spot for our potentiometer. Okay. So we're going to bring out the positive first. It's going to be red. I'm going to bring out the negative next. It's going to be black. And then we're going to bring over a signal wire, and it's going to go over to this side over here to V0. Okay. Oh, I don't want to drag that. Okay. So we'll get that set up like that so you can see all of these right now. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to skip from this DB0 to DB3. And then we're going to go also LED. So that's going to get power and such. This is going to get power. So there's going to be a handful of things that'll get power over here. And then there's signals that'll go back up. Okay. Okay. But this signal wire right here that's going to be in this middle is going to go to V0. And you can actually attach it there based off this. We can actually leave that as green since it's signal. Okay. What this is going to do is this is going to measure the difference in between those. And it's actually going to adjust what's known as the contrast on the screen. Okay. And then we can place it. Okay. So from here, stepping down the line, we're going to go to 12. 12 is going to go to RS. Okay, I'm actually going to come up this way. Okay. And I'm going to set that color as orange. Okay. Actually, let's just go down this line. Okay. I should have just done that before. Okay, so ground. We're going to go to ground. It's going to be black. VCC is going to be power, red. We already have the next one, V0. That's our signal. That's for our contrast. We have RS, which is going to be another signal wire coming out. RW, read write. We're actually going to ground that out. Okay. Now E is going to actually go to 11. Okay. So we're going to come down, line that up right there. And we're going to set that as purple. Your colors can vary. Okay. You're welcome to vary your colors. I don't know if that'll be a little easier to read the numbers up there or not, but we'll try. Okay. Now, once again, DB0 to DBZ or DB3 aren't anything. They're not going to be filled. DB4, though, is going to go to port 5 on the board. Okay. We're going to color that red. DB5 to port 4. Green. DB6 to port 3. Blue, and DB7 to port 2 is purple. Okay. Now these LEDs, we have the anode and the cathode. Remember the anode and cathode. The anode is our positive side. The cathode is the negative side of the return. So we're actually going to need to place this in line with this LED. Okay. And then we need to do what's known as a little jumper across. Since that's supplying power, we're going to put it as red. Now this one's going to go all the way back to our negative. It's going to be black. Okay. Now I know I just went through without doing those over there. Okay. It's okay. But now our actual Magic 8 Ball is all wired. We're set up. We're ready to go. There's no problems with it. We should be able to start it up. Okay. And we won't be able to really see anything because no text is going to pop up. But if you're looking at one that's happening in real life, this screen, you'll see little white blocks on there. And it's actually adjusting the contrast. How much or how bright the little LED crystals are. You can kind of see them on this screenshot of it. It's adjusting how bright these little LED pixels are on here versus the darkness on it. Okay. So that's what that's adjusting. Within this program, though, it can't show that adjustment. And so what it actually does is basically, if we turn it all the way to the black side, they'll show up. If we turn it any part away from that black side, it's as if there's nothing on the screen. Okay. But everything else, our screen should be wired and ready to go. So I hope this is a good build for you guys. Thank you for reading your emails and seeing that I wasn't going to be here for it. Went to the doctor, got in, got my shot done and everything, so I should be ready to go. and everything looked good. Okay. So tomorrow what we'll do is we'll walk through the coding. The coding is a little bit more complicated. Okay. But we'll come back to it tomorrow. Thank you all.